Hello friends, welcome to Infinity Educare. Students, last time we have seen chapter number 1. We have started with a lesson called as matter in our surrounding, in which we already have seen what is called as a matter, what are different properties of matter, and so many other things we have covered last time. So in this session, we are going to discuss on the states of matter and the comparison between their states. ओके सो नाउ स्टूडेंट्स, सबसे पहले हम इस चैप्टर को रिवाइज करेंगे और फिर हम आगे बढ़ेंगे. ओके सो नाउ लेट्स सी व्हाट वी हैव सीन बिफोर in previous lessons. Okay, so as we have seen here is matter is anything which is consisting of the particle will be called as a matter. After that, we also have seen there are certain things which are non-matters. I mean, the things which are not consisting of the particles will be called as non-matters. After that, we have seen that properties of matter, in which we have seen all matters are composed of very small, tiny particles. Secondly, we have seen matter has a definite mass, matter has definite volume also, that we have covered till now. So the next thing is last property that we have seen before is called as particles of matter are in continuous motion. So these all properties we have already seen last time. Okay, so now moving back to the next. Next, we have seen that some activities to prove the properties of matter. So these all activities we have covered last time. Now moving to the next concept of today's session is called as states of matter. As we can see over here, as we already know from the previous standards, that the matter exists in three different states. As you already know, that are called as solids, liquids and gases. So here we can see on the board that matter can exist in the form of either it's a solid or it's a liquid or it's a gas. Okay, but actually there are two more important states of matter. मतलब वैसे तो सॉलिड के मैटर तीन फॉर्म्स में, तीन स्टेट्स में एग्जिस्ट होता है, दैट इज सॉलिड, लिक्विड और गैस. लेकिन इसके अलावा भी दो इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेट्स होते हैं मैटर के, एंड दैट्स कॉल्ड एज प्लाज्मा, द लास्ट वन, एंड देयर इज वन मोर स्टेट कॉल्ड एज Bose-Einstein condensate. So friends, how many total states are there? Total 5 states of matter are exist. That is, first solids, second liquid, third gases, fourth plasma, and last is Bose-Einstein condensate. As we can see on the board that when the solids are heated, they get converted into the liquid state. When liquids are heated, they get converted into the gases. But what would happen if the gases are further heated? If the gases are further heated, they get converted into their ions, and therefore this state of existence in the form of ions will be called as the plasma state. Actually, there is one more state called as the Bose-Einstein condensate. Reversing back, अगर इन gases को cool किया जाएगा, तो they will get converted into the liquid. If liquids are cooled, they get converted into the solid. And if solids are cooled further, then what should happen? The particles of solid will get more closer. अगर solids को भी cool किया जाएगा, तो उसके particles और close आ जाएंगे. And that is the condensate state of the particles. And therefore, this is the fifth state of particles or of matter called as Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay, now here we can see on the board that there are three important states, that is solids, liquids and gases. इसके अलावा और भी दो states होते हैं matter के, that is plasma and Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay, moving to the next topic. Here we can see, here now we are going to learn for all states of matter separately. Okay, so moving to the first state of matter called as solids. Okay, so here we are going to learn for, here we can see the picture of solid. जैसे कि हम यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं solids के जो particles है, solid is consisting of the closed particles. Here we can see The particles are bind together with a strong force. They are hold together, right? So that must be the property of solids. Let's begin with the properties of solids. The first property of solid is that solids have fixed shape and fixed volume. Okay. The second property of solids is that जैसे कि हम यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं सॉलिड के जो पार्टिकल्स हैं ये बहुत क्लोज है एंड इसीलिए इनमें ज़्यादा स्पेस नहीं है. देयर इज नेग्लिजिबल और नो स्पेस बिटवीन द पार्टिकल्स. तो द नेक्स्ट इज the force of attraction. Friends, you must have seen before that solids के जो particles हैं इन particles को if you must have seen that solids को break करना बहुत difficult होता है. That's because solids के जो particles हैं ये particles बहुत close होते हैं and they have a strong force of attraction between them. इसीलिए solids are difficult to break. Okay, to the next. Next property is that solids में जो movement होता है particles का it's negligible or it is very less. In the properties of matter we have seen the particles of matter are always in continuous motion. Solids में भी particles का movement होता है but it is negligible, it's very small, it cannot be sensed or it cannot be but particles का movement होता है but it is quite negligible. Okay, moving to the next property of solids, that solids are negligibly compressible. Means that solids को compress नहीं किया जा सकता. Now ऐसा क्यों? क्योंकि solids के जो particles हैं ये particles पहले से बहुत close है and इसीलिए इनको compress करना will be much difficult and इसीलिए solids को compress नहीं किया जा सकता. Okay, so the next property is solids have very least rate of diffusion. Now what's called as a diffusion exactly? Diffusion means the property of mixing of particles of different matters will be called as the diffusion. Actually this is the property of gases. अगर दो या दो से ज़्यादा gases को mix किया जाएगा तो वो completely mix हो जाते हैं and they will form a homogeneous mixture. And इसीलिए this property is called as diffusion. As we already know, solids के particles जो है already close है and इसीलिए किसी दूसरे के साथ वो easily mix नहीं होंगे. So they have very least rate of diffusion. Okay. To the next we would start for is the second state of matter called as the liquid state. Okay. Let's move back for here from the diagram we can see that particles of liquid are comparatively loose than that of the solid state. Particles are looking like moving also in motion, right? So these are the properties of liquids. Let's move ahead to the first property of liquid is that liquids do not have fixed shape but they have fixed volume and fixed mass also, right? So that was the first property of liquids. Second property of liquid is that liquids do not have their own shape but जिस कंटेनर में उनको पोर किया जाता है liquids will occupy the shape of the container in which they are poured. Okay, to the next property of liquid is that जैसे कि हमने solid में देखा solid में particles के बीच में space negligible था या फिर नहीं था लेकिन यहाँ पे liquids में particles are loosely held and particles के बीच में छोटा negligible या फिर small space होता है. Okay, to the next property of liquids is that force of attraction between the particles of liquids is less than solid but greater than gases. Means that जैसे कि हमने solid में देखा solid के particles के बीच में force of attraction बहुत strong होता है. Liquids में ये force of attraction strong नहीं होता but it exists. Okay, to the next is movement of particles is easy. As we can see solids में particles move नहीं कर सकते लेकिन liquids में particles easily move कर सकते हैं. Okay, to the next is liquids are slightly compressible. Means what? जैसे कि हमने last time solids में देखा था solids are negligibly compressible or not compressible. But जैसे कि हमने यहाँ पे देखा है Liquids के particles are little bit loose and therefore they can be compressed to the some extent. To the next. Next is the third state of matter called as the gaseous state, in which we already here can see that particles of gases are spread apart from each other, and they are moving here and there. As we already know, gases can move here and there, so the particles should be very loose. So they are the properties of gases. Let's move ahead to the first property of gas. As like the solids have fixed shape, liquids do not have fixed shape. Gases, of course, not having fixed shape, right? But the gases have fixed mass. To the next. The space between the particles of gases is very high, as we can see. Solids may it was much less, or there was no space between the particles, but in the liquid state there is a space between the particles. Okay. So the next thing is, okay, moving to the third property of liquids is that liquids have very much less force of attraction between the particles, as compared to that gases have no force between the particles, right? Therefore gases के जो particles है ये कहीं भी घूम सकते हैं. Friends, as we already know, gases can easily move from one point to the another point because there is no force exist between the particles of gases. Okay, so to the next property is that movement of particles of gases is maximum. As we can see, compared to the solid state, solids में particles को move करना possible नहीं है. Liquids में particles can move easily, इसीलिए liquids flow हो सकते हैं. Actually, this property of liquid is called as fluidity. वैसे gases भी move कर सकते हैं, and therefore generally liquids and gases को fluids कहा जाता है क्योंकि they can flow, right? Moving back to the next is movement in the particles of gases is maximum as there is no much force of attraction between the particles. So the next thing is gases are most compressible. As we already know, as we have compared with the solid state particles बहुत close होते हैं तो उनको compress करना is little bit difficult. Liquids are slightly compressible and gases are easily compressible क्योंकि gases के बीच में जो space है ये space बहुत ज़्यादा है, so they can be easily compressed and इसीलिए gases are easily compressible. Friends, हमारे घर में हम जो LPG use करते हैं, that is liquefied petroleum gas, it is compressed, right? To the next is the rate of diffusion of gases is very high. That means अगर दो या दो से ज्यादा गैसेस को मिक्स किया जाता है तो दे विल completely mix with each other to form the homogeneous mixture, and this property will be called as the diffusion. Solids do not have such property, but the gases can easily form a mixture, and इसीलिए gases have very high rate of diffusion. Okay, so the next is comparison between three different states of matter. Okay, as we can see on the board, this chart will give you a whole comparison that we have seen till now between the three states of matter, that is solids, liquids and gases. Okay, so now move ahead with the comparison of the particles between the three states of matter. Okay, so here as we can see on the board that in case of a shape, here we can see on the board that the shape of the solids is definite. Liquids do not have their own shape. Gases, of course, do not have their own shape. To the next, second property is the volume. As we can see on the board, solids have definite volume. Liquids also have definite volume, but the gases do not have definite volume because the volume of the gas can be changed with atmospheric conditions. Since it is not fixed, it is indefinite. To the next is effect of compression on the volume. Next property is effect of compression on the volume. As we can know, solids are negligibly compressible or not compressible, and therefore they are not much affected by the compression. Liquids are slightly compressible and therefore उनके भी shape में कुछ ज़्यादा change नहीं होगा. लेकिन gases are easily compressible and इसीलिए gases का जो volume है ये volume कम हो जाएगा. Right? To the next is effect of heat on the volume. अगर solids को heat किया जाता है तो what should happen? As we already know, solids expands on heating, right? But this expansion is very less and therefore it cannot be easily seen. Solids also expand. There is no much change in the shape of the solids on heating. To the next, liquids को अगर heat किया जाता है तो liquids भी expand होते हैं, लेकिन ये जो expansion है it's very small. नाउ गैसेस को अगर एक्सपांड किया जाता है या फिर हीट किया जाता है, दे आर एक्सपांड टू द लार्ज एक्सटेंट. इसीलिए समटाइम फ्रेंड्स यू मस्ट हैव सीन, अगर आपकी जो साइकिल है, ये साइकिल अगर धूप में ज़्यादा देर तक खड़ी की जाएगी तो उसके जो टायर्स हैं ये टायर्स फट जाते हैं. अगर आप एक कंप्लीटली भरा हुआ बलून, ब्लो किया हुआ बलून अगर धूप में रखते हैं या तो फिर उसको हीट करते हैं तो it burst out. Now let's think about why this thing happens. Because whenever we heat it, it expands, and whenever it expands, it needs the more space, and that's why the balloon bursts. Okay, so that was the property that अगर solids को heat किया जाता है, they also expand but very small. Liquids also expand but to the small extent, and gases are expand on the very large extent. To the next is mass. As we already know, all matters have their fixed mass, and therefore solids का भी mass fixed होता है, liquids का mass भी fixed होता है, और gases का mass भी fixed होता है. तो दोस्तों ये था comparison between three different states of matter, that is solids, liquids and gaseous state. दोस्तों इसके next video में हम बात करेंगे changes in the state of matter, that means solids का conversion liquids में, liquids to gas एंड सो ऑन. ठीक है, तभी तक दोस्तों यही रुक जाते हैं, फिर मिलेंगे नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में. दोस्तों अभी तक ये हमारा चैनल आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज इसे सब्सक्राइब करें और लाइक करें. थैंक यू वेरी मच.